Well, good morning. It's 9:10 on Wednesday, March the 4th. The House Criminal Justice Subcommittee is now in session. Members, please sign in and let's take the roll. Madam Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 members present. You have a quorum.
All right, members, do we have any personal orders today? Chair Lady Littleton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to welcome Marty Haynes here today. He is the property assessor of Hamlin County, but most of all, he is the second part of the Esther Helton Hain family. But it's his birthday. So could we wish him a happy birthday?
Happy birthday.
Chairman Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We also have a friend. I have a constituent here. We have Mr. Kevin Omby hiding in the very, very back. He's with the Boys and Girls Club here today, and just want to make him feel welcome. Thank you for being here, Kevin.
Representative Salinas.
Thank you, Chairman. I would like to welcome Moms Demand Action to our committee. They work on gun sense legislation, and they're here to advocate for the issues that they care deeply about.
All right, anyone else? Personal orders? Seeing none, we're going to our Sergeant of Arms, Mr. Tyler Muniz, for our daily words of wisdom.
Good morning, everyone. Today's words of wisdom come to you from a 6-time heavyweight world champion, Macho Man Randy Savage. There's one guarantee in life, and that there is no guarantees. Oh, yeah.
Yes, thank you for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very lengthy calendar. We've got, I know a lot of folks have come in. We've got some students from the University of Tennessee and maybe from ETSU that are here with us today that came with interest in a bill. And so we want to recognize them for their efforts of making it here today. So welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be skipping around on the calendar. There is a good chance that only a few bills are going to be heard today. So if you have not heard from me as a member of this body and you have not heard from me about your bill, that means your bill probably will not be heard today. However, if we do have time at the end of the committee, we will continue our work today. So please be watching the cameras and watching the video screen to see if your bill is going to be heard. So we're going out of order. The first item that we are going to take up today is item number 2, which is House Bill 1900 by Leader Lamberth. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. An ongoing effort to try to improve safety in our state. We created lifetime orders of protection years ago. We included heinous crimes like murder and rape and robbery, where a victim or a family member of a survivor could apply for a lifetime order of protection. And as Chairman Farmer knows, I mean, that would keep these folks from having to go down to the court every single year and ask for an extension on order of protection. There are some of these people that just should stay away from their victim or the victim's family forever. And so what we did not do is include out-of-state convictions. So we've listed in this bill other state convictions that, if committed in Tennessee, would count here for the lifetime order of protection. This bill would make sure that that would occur. Mr. Chairman, I stand ready for questions.
Thank you for that explanation, Representative Russell. Powell. Russell was on my mind.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question. I appreciate the bill, supportive of it. Where would that person then, where would they select county, or how is that decided where they can then seek that order of protection if they're out of state? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's in Section 2C1, venue for petition for order of protection under subdivisions A1 and A through C, and all of the matters relating to such an order of protection is in the county where the respondent resides, the county in which the offense occurred, or if the respondent is not a resident of this state, the county in which the petitioner resides.
Follow
I'm
up.
good. Thank you.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, we're now voting to send House Bill 1900 on to full judiciary. Everyone's voted. Anyone wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 ayes and 0 noes.
The ayes prevail. House Bill 1900 moves on to full judiciary. Let's go to item number 8.
Motion.
House Bill 2153. There's an amendment code 13865. Do you wish to proceed with that amendment?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you. The amendment makes the bill. So may I explain the bill?
Well, would you rather put it on and then explain the bill?
I would love to do that.
All right. Any objection to the question on the amendment? Seeing none, we're voting to adopt Amendment Code 13865 on the House Bill 2153. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes prevail. You adopt or own your bill as amended.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee. This bill is important because its genesis starts with a constituent of mine, but also someone that's a dear friend. And this legislation creates a Class B felony offense of aggravated domestic assault. And it requires the person who's convicted of the violation to be punished as a Range 2 offender. And it authorizes the defendant to be sentenced as a Range 3 offender if appropriate. Studies have shown that individuals who have received relatively more severe sentencing for domestic violence offenses were less likely to be arrested for other domestic violence offenses later on. And that supports that sentencing severity. It can have a deterrent effect. And with that, I stand ready for any questions.
Representative Powell.
Thank you. And just for the sponsor, I know that we just see the first name of your friend in here, which is understandable, but I just wanted to give a recognition of what they've gone through and reaching out, and commend you for bringing this forward. So, we're definitely, our thoughts are with her and her bravery. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, we're voting now to send House Bill 2153 as amended to full judiciary. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes and 0 noes.
The ayes prevail. House Bill 2153 as amended moves on to full judiciary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee.
Thank you. Let's go to item number 46. All right, item number 46, House Bill 2014. You have a motion and a second. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill requires a person convicted of a vehicular homicide by intoxication to be punished as a Range 2 offender if the person, as a result of the same course of conduct, is also convicted of leaving the scene of an accident or allows the person to be sentenced as a Range 3 offender if appropriate.
Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, we're voting to send House Bill, I'm sorry. Okay. Representative Salinas.
So is it the same offense that if someone didn't leave the scene, or is it a higher offense if they leave the scene in your bill?
Higher.
Okay.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none. Now voting to send House Bill 2014 on the full judiciary. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 ayes and 0 noes.
The ayes prevail. House Bill 2014 moves on to full judiciary. Yes, sir. Leader Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a reminder to the members, because I had forgotten this myself. If for some reason you step out of the room for a moment and the chairman is extremely effective while you're gone and we all vote while you're out, you can go to the clerk and change your vote from present not voting to yes, which I did on the last bill. So just a heads up.
Thank you for the public service announcement. Item number 49, House Bill 1814 by Chairman Russell. Are you ready?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I show amendment 014440.
Amendment code 14440. All right, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee, House Bill 1814 as amended will give the option for the first offense DUI with the controlled substance, not alcohol, conviction for the defendant to choose an naltrexone injection instead of a interlock device. And the second DUIs and further, they'd have to get both the interlock device on their car and a naltrexone injection. With that, I renew my motion.
All right, thank you for the explanation of the amendment. Any questions for the sponsor on the amendment? Leader Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know we talked about this beforehand. On the amendment, on the second or subsequents, was that it would be required in all second or subsequents or just those second or subsequents in which alcohol was not related?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It should be just if alcohol was not related.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions on the amendment? Representative Powell.
Thank you. And I guess, could you just make me feel more comfortable if you just give an explanation of why somebody might do this and how it's effective for the record? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So an interlock device is only effective if a person's been drinking. And so if they've not been drinking, the naltrexone shot will help them resist opioids. It's been a game changer for people that I had known to get that shot. I've known 2 instances where people have got the naltrexone shot, and there's a better than rehabilitation that I've ever seen. And there are lots of people has been 10 years before they started drinking or doing drugs. So.
Sorry, follow up to that. So if the person is convicted of, driving under the influence of alcohol and not opioids, are they able to take the shot, or do they still have to get an interlock device?
So I tried to do that, but it would risk federal funding. So they'll have to do the interlock for DUI offenses that involve alcohol. But hopefully one day that'll change where federal funding is not involved.
So just to be clear, if they are with alcohol, they cannot take the shot. They have to still use an interlock device. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Salinas.
Yeah, especially following up with that. I agree with you. The drugs that have been game changers, especially the long-acting ones like naltrexone. If new drugs become available that are currently in clinical trials and someone were to be on those that are better than what we have available to that, would those be included in your bill?
So now you're talking about in use in lieu of the interlock system, is that correct?
Because they can't use it for alcohol use, only for opiates. And opiates we have a lot of drugs that are in development currently.
So that would have to be added down the road, and I would support that if that's in effect where other drugs has the same effect to prevent people from either doing drugs or alcohol.
Okay. And then how would you verify that someone is taking the shot?
So that would be through the probation officer, and they would have to show proof once a month because it's a once a month shot.
Okay. I'm in agreement with a lot of what the bill provides. We have shots that are potentially going to be available that would extend the activity for 6 months, which is better because you don't have to go to the doctor every month. And what we have seen is that people that are on those longer acting drugs stay sober for longer and are able to be successful. So I think that an amendment that would include potential future drugs would be something that I would love to see in a bill like this.
Thank you. And I'd love to see that too, but I just can't project what those drugs names will be to add them. So hopefully next year or so we can go back in and amend the statute to do that.
Yeah, that is tough because the names come often later, and it's when they're going in clinical trials, it's just numbers or they're assigned the chemical name,
Yeah.
which is not.
And I barely can pronounce the ones we got now. So
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions on the amendment? Any objection to the question on the amendment? Seeing none, we're voting to adopt Amendment Code 14440 on the House Bill 1814. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, the ayes prevail. You adopt. We're on the bill as amended. Chairman Russell, you have anything else to?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just renew my motion.
All right. Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, any objection to the question? Seeing none, we're voting to send House Bill 1814 as amended to full judiciary. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 ayes and 0 noes.
All right, the ayes prevail. House Bill 1814 as amended moves on to full judiciary. Let's go to item number 50.
Motion.
It's item number 50, House Bill 1644 by Representative Atchley. You have a motion second. You recognize there's Amendment Code 14113. Do you wish to proceed with that amendment?
Yes.
Motion on amendment.
All right, you are recognized on the amendment.
Okay, the amendment makes the bill.
All right, the amendment makes the bill, so we will consider adoption of the amendment. All those in favor of Amendment Code 14113 being attached to House Bill 1644, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes prevail. You adopt or own your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill aims to prevent the abuse of nitrous oxide by banning the sale of nitrous oxide at the convenience stores, vape shops, any kind of gas station, liquor stores. It's commonly known in the medical circles as laughing gas and is used to dispense canned whipped cream in restaurants. And teenage it's called whippets. Violation results in civil penalties and seizure of the contraband. First violation would be $2,500 in civil penalty and seizure of the nitrous oxide. Second, the subsequent violation would be $5,000 and a civil penalty, seizure of the nitrous oxide, and revocation of a retail certificates, permits, or licensee. Example: beer, wine, alcohol, hemp-derived cannabinoids. Retail sellers can reapply for a revoked license after 12 months. It is a Class C felony for any person to sell, deliver, or give away nitrous oxide if they suspect it will be used for intoxication or other impairing effects. The intent of this bill is to protect our young people. I had a constituent bring to me. His daughter was on this. It took him 2 years to figure out what was going on. And when he figured out what it was, he was buying this stuff at a place in Sevierville. And I think she's is in the process of getting straightened out. He wanted to testify today. And but anyway, that's what this bill does.
Any other questions? Any questions for the sponsor?
Question.
Chair Lady Littleton. All right, previous question. Any objection to the question? Seeing none, we're voting to send House Bill 1644 as amended on the full judiciary. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes, 0 noes, and 1 present not voting.
The ayes prevail. House Bill 1644 is amended, goes on to full judiciary. All right, members, we're going to go to item number 13. There's a motion and a second on House Bill 1649. There are no amendments.
No.
All right. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Today, I'm presenting House Bill 1649 to ban kratom, metrogynine, and 7-hydroxymetrogynine in Tennessee. Last year, we passed HJR 147 with bipartisan support to ban or regulate kratom. Kratom contains compounds that activate opioid receptors in the brain and is often referred to as gas station heroin. It can be 13 times stronger than morphine. In small amounts, it acts as a stimulant, in large amounts as an analgesic or a sedative. The tragic consequences of the unregulated sale of this substance are demonstrated by the untimely death of Matthew Davenport, who died on March 18th, 2024, from a lethal interaction between his doctor-prescribed medications and natural kratom, metrogynine. This bill addresses the growing public health and safety concerns surrounding kratom, often marketed as a natural supplement, but natural does not mean safe. The Food and Drug Administration maintains firm stance against the use of kratom, natural and synthetic, stating it is not safe and has no approved medical use and carries significant risk. The Center for Disease Control states that kratom is an emerging public health threat for potential overdoses, addiction, and contamination. Often it has lead and salmonella. The Drug Enforcement Agency lists kratom as a drug and chemical of concern with potential of abuse and safety risks. My bill will do 6 things. House Bill 1649 prohibits the sale and distribution of kratom, metrogynine, and 7-hydroxymetrogynine and all the derivatives in Tennessee. It establishes criminal penalties and strengthens oversight. It strengthens death investigations by requiring a county medical examiner to test for the presence of kratom during an autopsy when the suspected death is of a drug overdose. This ensures more accurate overdose data and better tracking of kratom-related fatalities. It expands toxicology testing in medical settings, requiring physicians who order toxicology testing for suspected drug overdoses or suspected neonatal abstinence syndrome to include testing for the presence of kratom. This ensures kratom exposure is identified in overdose cases and in newborns experiencing withdrawal symptoms. It updates workplace drug policy, requiring the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development to promulgate a rule adding kratom to the definition of a drug. This allows kratom to be included in workplace drug-free policies and testing programs. And it designates this act as Matthew Davenport's Law, effective date July 1st, 2026. And with that, I stand for questions.
Thank you very much for your explanation. We have a very extensive list of individuals who would like to testify today. So what I am going to do is we are going to jump around when we get into testimony here to try to give as much fair and equal amount of time that we can for those that have traveled here to speak on this issue today. So members, we are going to go out of session, and the first individuals that I'm going to call forward is going to be Thomas Farmer and Mark Delaney. They're outside the room. They're making their way in, and Stephen Crump, if he would like to come forward at this time. Gentlemen, if you will, introduce yourselves for the record, and then you'll each have 3 minutes for comments, and then we will open it up for committee questions and discussion with you after that.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee. My name is Stephen Crump. I am the Executive Director of the Tennessee District Attorneys General Conference.
Good morning. My name is Mark Delaney. I'm the Special Agent in charge for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Tennessee Dangerous Drugs Task Force.
Good morning. Tommy Farmer, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Dangerous Drugs Task Force as well. Thank you. I'll start. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Committee. Thank you very much for the opportunity to provide information on this bill, Senate Bill 1656, House Bill 1645, or 1649, known as the Matthew Davenport Law. I am familiar with the situation and the case, as well as Ms. Davenport as well. And it pains us that the situation occurred. This legislation would be important to address the growing public health and safety threats posed by kratom, which is a psychoactive substance currently being sold openly in gas stations and convenience stores, vape shops across the state of Tennessee, under the false and dangerous perception that this is a safe and harmless, non-addictive drug, which could be the farthest from the truth. Kratom contains an active compound called metrogenine and a 7-hydroxymetrogenine, and now we have derivatives, MC15, 16, MG, that are also being made more and more available. At low doses, it produces a stimulant-like effect, but has a tolerance. As tolerance develops, the consumption increases and it produces an opioid-like sedation, dependency, and withdrawals. I've spoken to many healthcare providers, treatment providers that have said the withdrawals from these are absolute significant, as well as not much of a call a week goes by without us receiving some phone call into our office regarding a family member or someone else talking about the problems associated with or the significant withdrawals related to this product. We're seeing increasing reports of kratom abuse, addiction involved in both fatal and non-fatal overdoses, as in the situation with Mr. Davenport. One of the particular concern issues is that kratom overdose may be less responsive to naloxone, complicating emergency response and risking increasing the risk for death. Another serious concern is the growing presence of synthetic or chemically altered kratom products, which we are seeing in these 7-hydroxymetrogenine, synthesized super strong products. These substances are often more potent, dangerous, and currently even accredited forensic laboratories such as ours and the Drug Enforcement Administration cannot distinguish between natural kratom and synthetic or modified analogs to the standards required for prosecution or to a confirmatory level. This has created a legal gray area that has effectively allowed these addictive psychoactive substances, acting opioid substances, to go unchecked and spread feverishly across our state and across the country. Furthermore, the reports from families and local officials indicate that individuals are spending $500, $1,200 a month in unapproved and unsafe kratom products. Kratom is not FDA approved. It has no medical approved use.
Mr. Farmer, I'm sorry, our 3 minutes have
Got it.
surpassed.
Thank you
So
very much.
maybe somebody will have questions for you on that. I will turn you over to the next one. You'll have 3 minutes. And I apologize, folks, but we got a lot on the list, so we got to stick to this 3-minute time limit today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Mr. Farber said, this legislation provides critical and necessary safeguards by clearly prohibiting possession, manufacture, and sell, and strengthening the penalties for distributing to minors and improving toxicology surveillance in overdose deaths. We have learned from past drug crises that early action is essential. Allowing an unregulated addictive opioid active substance to continue expanding unchecked poses a clear threat to public health and safety. Matthew Davenport's law provides the clarity necessary to protect Tennesseans, support law enforcement, and prevent further harm. Historical experiences with kratom and other substances have underscored the critical importance of clarity for both health and public safety. Just from a law enforcement perspective, Mr. Chairman, if I might add, it's every day we're getting calls from law enforcement how to handle this situation. It's every day that we're getting calls from parents, from concerned citizens that have had loved ones pass away, that have actually found them kids in their bedroom, that they've actually found them in the bedroom, and the kid is not known to be on any other controlled substance, not known to be addicted to drugs. Otherwise, they're only going to a gas station to buy a few pills. I've had that call at least 3 times in the last month. And we were getting a repetitive request for us to address this issue. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, we ask for your action on this and to give us something to police in the state of Tennessee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to talk about two very specific issues that have not been touched on. First is the argument that this is a natural substance. Many dangerous drugs originate from natural substances. Heroin comes from opium poppy, cocaine comes from the cocoa leaf, and morphine comes from poppy alkaloids. The idea that natural origin equals public safety is just false. I would ask you to specifically consider that what this legislation is going to do is to prevent the next designer opioid market from starting and from being developed. This is the next designer opioid market. Right now, it's just something you see behind the counter or in front of the counter at a gas station. That is not where this is headed. It's never been the case with any controlled substance that it starts simply and it stays simple. This is the beginning of the next wave of an opioid issue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that. Any questions for our guests that are here? Seeing none, thank you for your time and being with us for your comments. All right, the next three that I'll call up on our list for testimony: Ryan Holding, Sheila Bruce, Walker Gallman. One of those three seats. Once you all sit down, if you will, introduce yourself for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes for your comments. And whoever would like to go first.
Hi there, I'm Walker Gallman. I'm the Legislative Director for the Global Kratom Coalition and a resident of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Sheila Bruce.
My name is Ryan Holding. I'm the owner at Passage Kava Lounge located in Nashville, Tennessee.
Thank you. The Global Kratom Coalition is an organization who supports access to safe and regulated natural leaf kratom products. Today, I'm here to testify in opposition to HB 1649, which would ban all kratom products in Tennessee, whether natural or not. Currently, under Tennessee law, kratom is regulated with a 21-plus age gate, labeling requirements, including consumer warnings, such as not to combine with medications, and a prohibition on synthetic products. We believe these are good regulations. However, they are not being properly enforced. Rather than seek to ban all kratom and criminalize consumers, we urge the committee to instead look at ways to ensure better enforcement of the current regulations. Natural kratom leaf is a botanical substance from Southeast Asia with centuries of safe traditional use and at least 50 years of use in the United States. Today, 23 million people in the United States report consuming natural leaf kratom for its functional benefits. To date, there have been 18 clinical studies conducted on kratom, including one by FDA, in addition to hundreds of non-clinical studies indicating the safety of natural kratom leaf. In the FDA's own study, they concluded that natural kratom leaf is tolerable in humans, even at high servings up to 6 times more than what is usually consumed. Regarding the outright ban of kratom as proposed in HB 1649, this issue has already been adjudicated by the federal government. Specifically, in 2016, the DEA published notice of intent to place kratom in Schedule I on an emergency basis. However, after failing to demonstrate that kratom was harmful and receiving numerous comments in opposition from members of Congress and advocacy groups, DEA withdrew that notice. Additionally, on July 29th, 2025, the FDA, in tandem with HHS and DEA, held a joint press conference to announce coordinated federal action to schedule concentrated synthetic 7-hydroxymetragenine as a Schedule I controlled substance. Crucially, the FDA made it exceedingly clear that their recommendation only applies to products containing concentrated unnatural levels of 7-OH, not products that contain natural kratom leaf. As such, this bill would put an unnecessary burden on Tennessee consumers and law enforcement, add additional strain to the state's budget, and exceed the actions being sought by the federal government. In closing, we urge the subcommittee to reject HB 1649 and instead look at ways to ensure enforcement of the currently enacted regulations, such as passing the Kratom Consumer Protection Act, HB 2594. HB 1649 would criminalize thousands of Tennesseans and restrict access to a natural botanical that has become a part of many Tennesseans' daily regimen and has been shown to be safe when taken correctly and properly regulated. Thank you, and I welcome any questions.
Hi, my name is Tila Bruce, and I was born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. Been here my whole life. And in a month, I'll have 4.5 years sober. I started drinking Kratom a little over a year ago, and the positive impact on my life has been drastic. I now have an outlet that does not jeopardize my sobriety, which is the most important thing in my life. I have an outlet that doesn't make me feel unsafe, inebriated, or like less of myself. Kratom has never made me wake up regretting my decisions the night before, nor has it ever impacted my work, relationships, or self-worth like alcohol. It is my safe space I've been searching for my entire life. I've educated myself enough to know the labeled Kratom at gas stations and vape stores is unregulated, not tested, and unsafe. There are kava and Kratom bars owned by caring, hardworking people that make sure their product is safe, tested, with no strange additives or man-made effects, and that's what you'll be taking away if you fully ban Kratom, instead of regulating the products sold. By fully banning Kratom, yes, you're punishing the people doing the wrong thing, but you're also punishing the people trying to do the right thing and keep Kratom safe for consumption. I urge you to please regulate, not prohibit, this selling and the use of Kratom as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, my name is Ryan Holding, and I am the owner at Passage Kava Lounge located in Nashville. Let me just say this plainly. I know we're slow on time. The problem is not that Kratom exists. The problem is the unregulated Kratom. If you only see it in smoke shops with the shots, gummies, mystery bottles, I understand why you may be concerned. But that's like judging the food safety by the worst part of the gas station aisle. A blanket ban sounds simple, but here's what it really does. It doesn't end demand, it ends oversight. People won't magically stop. It moves underground, and that's where there's no minimum age, no labels, no standards. And the products most likely that will remain are the altered and the unsafe ones, because those are the easiest to traffic and the hardest to trace. Other states are moving towards regulations instead of bans. Rhode Island replaced its ban with a regulated approach. That includes 21 plus sales and banning adulterated products. Tennessee already has the 21 recommendation on the books, and if we're going to tighten up anything, that's where we need to focus on the adulterated, high potency products and bad actors. And at a federal level, the FDA has drawn a clear line. It's targeting the 7.0H products and has said that it focuses only on that and not the natural leaf products. So Tennessee should focus on the high-risk segment, not a blanket ban. My business is a responsible alternative. We are a Victorian library-themed non-alcoholic kava bar. We serve adults only. We check IDs. We make the drinks in-house, and we maintain batch paperwork and lab results so that we know what we serve is not a mystery product. I built Passage to be a safe place for people to socialize and connect in a time when so many feel isolated. Our guests and supporters are the kind of people that you expect in any responsible community space. Veterans, first responders, healthcare professionals, small business owners, and other hardworking adults who value an alcohol-free environment. History gives us a warning. We saw this with alcohol. Prohibition tends to make products more dangerous because it pushes supply into legal channels where things are changed and made unsafe. So here's the better path. Don't ban it, regulate and enforce it. Require truthful labels, enforce warnings, and crack down on high potency products and bad actors. Regulation keeps accountability. And
our time is up. Thank you for that. Any questions for Representative Salinas?
Yes, my question's for the person on the end. Sorry, what was your name? Mr. Holding. You referenced some of the regulations that Rhode Island had in place. Can you speak to those and what those are?
Yes, absolutely. And so when the representative was speaking earlier, they spoke a lot about the 7.0H. 7.0H is synthetic and lab made. We are not we don't want that. We want this to be regulated. This is what we've been pushing for the whole time, because this is the stuff that is high potency, and that's where people think, that's where it gets the bad name from. And so we want to make sure that what people are getting when they get kratom is actually lab tested and safe. If we take this off the table and we ban kratom, we're no longer getting access to the safe stuff, because safe, reliable people are not selling it to Tennessee people.
So is the 7-OH completely banned in other states?
So it is in some, yes. And the FDA last year, I believe it was, they recently made a report saying that that's what they want to focus on and not kratom as a whole.
Okay. And then are there any amount regulations for 7-OH when places where it is legal?
Not typically, no.
Okay.
So in Florida, it actually has over almost 300 kava bars. Kratom is in probably about 95% of that. Florida has looked at it and they did not have a ban on full kratom, although they do have regulations on 7-OH, which is what we think should happen.
And so with no regulations on the non-7-OH strains?
Yeah, and so when I say non-7-OH or non-lab grown, what I'm talking about is we actually receive it as the powder from the actual plant itself. We don't add anything. We use reverse osmosis water at our kava bar. If I would never serve anything to our community that would put them in danger. That is why we use such high rated water. That's why we test our kava, or our kava and kratom. We know what we're putting into our bodies and into their bodies, and I would never put anything in front of them that would make them unhealthy.
And there are no regulations on the powders?
On the powders, currently, kratom is 21 plus in Tennessee.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for our guest? Seeing none, thank you all for being with us today. Next, we will go to Guy Bronson, Jennifer Gillis, Chris French. So we have Jennifer and you are Chris French. What about Guy Bronson? Guy Bronson, going once, going twice. Warren Holding. Again, if you will, introduce yourselves for the record. You'll have 3 minutes for comments.
I'm Jennifer Gillis.
Chris French.
Warren Holding.
Would you like to start, Jennifer? Sure. My name is Jennifer Gillis, and I'm here in opposition of House Bill 1649. 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with transverse myelitis and became a lifelong chronic pain patient. For 6 years, however, I've been able to use whole leaf kratom to manage my chronic pain. It's allowed me to get out of bed, run errands, attend school functions, and be here in front of you today. I am not a criminal, but this bill would make me a criminal, and so many others in Tennessee that are just wanting a better quality of life. I understand their concerns around FDA approval. However, lack of FDA approval doesn't automatically mean something should be criminalized. Many dietary supplements and herbal products are not FDA approved, yet we regulate them instead of banning them. Along with enforcement of sensible regulations, education is needed regarding the difference between natural kratom and the synthetic 7-OH products being falsely marketed as kratom. Over the past 2 years, the amount of things that you hear in the news, the reports of poison control center calls, ER visits, rehab facilities, all these things have been caused because people are selling the 7-OH products that are chemically made as kratom products. Even, consumers, kratom consumers that have used kratom for a long time are getting caught up in it. And it's really been disheartening to see that it's always considered kratom, always called kratom in these instances, because a lot of times that's how the product was sold to them. But 7-OH is not the same as kratom. I mean, this issue has been significant enough. As you heard, the FDA had to step in and recommend scheduling of 7-OH. And even Commissioner McCary made it clear they were not targeting natural kratom and only the synthetic 7-OH products. I did not ask to live with chronic pain. I didn't ask to have to depend on something for a better quality of life. But I'm here in front of you today to ask for your support for consumer protection and allowing educated adults to make decisions about our own health. Without becoming criminals, I ask you to oppose House Bill 1649. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My name is Chris French. I live in District 27, and my wife and I are opening a kava and kratom bar in Chattanooga later this spring. I'm here in opposition to Matthew Davenport's law. Instead, I would urge the subcommittee to support sensible kratom regulation through House Bill 2594, known as the Kratom Consumer Protection Act, or KCPA. Matthew Davenport's law would ban all forms of kratom in Tennessee, making no distinction between synthetic and natural kratom. And that distinction is critical to this debate. Synthetic kratom is a man-made product that extracts kratom 7-OH alkaloid into what the FDA has explicitly labeled an opioid. It is not kratom. To make matters worse, these 7-OH products are often misrepresented as kratom. The FDA's commissioner, Dr. Marty McCary, agrees with this. Quote, "One of the dangerous things about 7-OH is how much confusion it can cause. Many 7-OH products are marketed as kratom extract or enhanced kratom," end quote. Dr. McCary goes on to say that the public health risk between synthetic kratom and natural kratom is, quote, "night and day." This is why the FDA in July recommended scheduling 7-OH products while explicitly stating that it is not focused on scheduling natural kratom. If Tennessee were to ban natural kratom, it would do so in opposition to the FDA's approach, as well as in opposition to the following. Scientific research from private and public agencies, including the FDA itself and the National Institute on Drug Abuse, the approach of other states, of which only 7 have banned kratom outright. Only 7 states have banned kratom outright. And the personal experience of thousands of Tennesseans who use kratom responsibly to manage their chronic pain and former addictions. Representative Helton Haynes says enforcing the state's existing ban on synthetic kratom is already illegal in the state, is difficult, and so her solution is to ban all kratom. I would respectfully argue that the state's failure to enforce its own laws should not serve as the basis for turning everyday Tennesseans, people like Jennifer who use natural kratom as their wellness lifeline, into criminals. The greatest good for Tennessee's public health is sensible regulation through the KCPA, which sets age limits and labeling and testing requirements. 19 states have adopted the KCPA, including workable enforcement mechanisms, and I would urge Tennessee to do the same. I want to make 2 more statements. First, someone earlier said that it's impossible to tell the difference between synthetic and natural kratom. This is not true. I test our kratom that we're going to use for our kava and kratom bar, and how you can tell natural kratom only has 2% or less of the 7-OH alkaloid, and any legitimate testing agency can tell you that. The second thing, Representative Salinas, I'd like to answer a question you had earlier. The regulations through the KCPA would help regulate natural kratom as well as banning synthetic kratom. There would be laws in place to do both. Thank you very much.
Chair and members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to speak in my personal capacity unrelated to my employer. I am Warren Holding, a U.S. citizen and Tennessee resident. I'm here in respectful opposition to House Bill 1649. I want to be very clear. I support biological, natural kratom leaf. I do not support synthetic or chemically altered kratom products. If there's a true public safety concern, these synthetic, highly potent products are what should be regulated, with clear standards and enforcement. I'm here to defend a proportional response that actually improves public safety. This is personal for me because my spouse owns a kava bar. I've been a patron of kava bars throughout the country for over a decade. One of the products that Carver bars sell is biological kratom. Here in Tennessee, I've experienced how Carver bars build community, a place to socialize without alcohol, a place where people can still have a social environment and a night out without getting impaired. I've become friends with great people who are sober, in recovery, or simply avoiding alcohol because of their conscious decision and the proven risks associated with alcohol. This bill would destroy Carver bars, small businesses throughout Tennessee. Now, on kratom specifically, just last month, the Tennessee Department of Health issued a kratom brief. So I just implore you to take a look at that. When we take a look at a lot of these statistics you hear, the scary numbers we heard earlier, the facts that are omitted, that are clearly in Table 4 of the Department of Health brief, is that kratom only is very, very uncommon. Most often, fentanyl, meth, prescription opioids, alcohol are involved as well. And so, pointing to kratom, that may be a correlation, but it is not a causation. In fact, the highest year in the records that they have were 2 individuals with only kratom in their system in a toxicology report. That's not even saying that that's the result of the death, that's in the toxicology report. So I think the data needs to drive the decisions that are being made accordingly. And just for some order of magnitude in Tennessee, there's over 1,000 alcohol attributable deaths annually, 1,500 gun deaths annually, and more than 3,500 overdose deaths. So I think the data from the Tennessee Department of Health should be a driving factor. As you've heard earlier, if you push a product out of the open market, it doesn't disappear, it goes underground. This bill is turning ordinary Tennesseans who use biological kratom into criminals, widening the net far beyond the bad actors which you are intending to get. There's a safer, enforceable path. Regulate kratom, don't ban it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our time is up. Members' questions, Representative Powell.
Thank you. And to me, it's interesting. This testimony always points out to me some of the concerns I have about our healthcare system in the United States. That a lot of people don't have access to proper medicine. They don't have medical cover, health insurance, and so that they resort to seeking out other means to alleviate their pain. I guess my question along those lines is, because I do think there's also an economic argument to be made here. And along those lines, ma'am, you referenced, pain. Did you try other pain remedies? Like how can you tell me your journey there?
Yeah, for many years, I relied on prescription opioid medications. But just to ever change it because of the whole epidemic opioid, it's hard to get. There's chronic pain patients right now that are just being cut off of their pain medication. There's people that are, suffering. There's people that are committing. It's bad. So, and you're right. A lot of people may not be able to have access to any health care. Or there might be people that have health care but can't find any provider to help. So, that's just a lot of people. And I'm not saying that this is a solution for everyone at all, not by any means, but I believe that it should be available as an option.
And then I've got 2 more questions. So if you're in the middle, I'm sorry, I forget your name, but how expensive is the natural product, in its form? What kind of expense are you looking at?
So at the Cava Bar, we'll sell natural kratom tea only. We won't sell capsules. And any of the pills that you've heard about are almost always 7-hydroxymitragynine. A single serving tea at the Cava Bar will cost between $6 and $7.
Okay. And how long does that last?
All day long.
Okay.
But usually it comes in little bags. You can buy them for $16, maybe sometimes, less. It just depends. But it's not nearly as expensive as prescription medication copays.
Okay. And those 7-hydroxymitragynine shots, what do those cost?
Oh, those are
$10.
Yeah, I'd say at least minimum.
Okay. Yeah. One other question, Mr. Chairman. Can you describe the sir who spoke last? Can you describe the testing? You referenced testing, but can you kind of describe the testing for ketamine, how that works?
So I'm trying to recall what I'd mentioned with the testing. What I was saying with the Tennessee Department of Health. So that report, so this is the number of deaths which kratom was present in toxicology testing results in the state of Tennessee. It's this table 4. And so what they've done here is by year, analyze the deaths in Tennessee and the toxicology results. And kratom only in the toxicology results is between 0 to 2 people that have kratom only. Again, not saying that that's the cause of the death necessarily, but then when you look at individuals who have kratom and fentanyl, and kratom and meth, kratom and, so that what I was saying is they may find in these test results, right, that individuals do have kratom, but that's, if someone's having kratom and fentanyl, I'm pretty sure it's not the kratom. That's the problem.
Does that apply just to the natural or is also synthetic?
So, and that's a great question. I should have pointed out. So these statistics are just kratom overall. It doesn't differentiate biological versus synthetic. And so, what we're hearing the testimony here today, right, is the biological is a far safer alternative that should be regulated. The synthetic should be completely banned, right? But these statistics do not differentiate that. So I would beg to differ that this is the synthetic that we're seeing in these data results, not the biological. But that's my hypothesis. I don't have the data, but that's what it's to me would clearly illustrate here.
May I add a comment on product testing, if that's what you were asking about? You can test natural kratom products and synthetic kratoms from labs across the United States. And what they do is they test alkaloid counts. There are 50 alkaloids plus within the kratom leaf. And with the KCPA, we would limit the 7-hydroxymitragynine alkaloid to less than 2% of the total alkaloid makeup. That's the naturally occurring maximum within natural kratom. You can test for that kratom amount through these labs across the United States. There is simply no reason that we can't enforce a ban on synthetic kratom through testing while keeping natural kratom legal. The testing mechanisms are there to test for it.
Can I ask one last question?
Very briefly, if you don't mind. Quick question.
One quick question is, and I guess I should know this. Can you grow your own crack? Can you grow this yourself? Like, how do you even get access to this?
An environment, where you could, grow a tree, like a kratom tree, because it's literally just a leaf plucked from a tree. And,
So
but
where's it
if
coming
you lived
from?
in, say, I know Florida, there's a place that is doing research and growing kratom trees. But
Where's
I
it
mean,
come from?
So typically it's in Asia is where it grows, naturally because it is subtropical climates.
Memphis gets pretty hot. I could see it surviving in where I'm from. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Members, before we go to our next, don't, hold up, y'all, hold up. There's other questions. But I've got some guests here, some great friends of mine. I'm not going to out them by name, but they're on the back wall there with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. So thank you for coming and being with us today. All right, Representative Salinas.
Thank you. I got scared for a second. I was like, wait. My questions for the person in the purple. Remind me of your name again.
French.
Mr. French. You kind of hit upon this a little bit regarding the testing in 7-OH being present at 2% in the natural product. What tests are done? Is it mass spec, UPLC? What do you know?
I'm so sorry, I don't know.
Okay.
These are certified labs that test these products.
Okay, and is the 2% based on weight or parts per million? How is that?
It's the percentage of the total alkaloid makeup. So if there are 50 plus alkaloids within the kratom leaf, 2% of that total makeup or less is 7-OH.
Okay. And then do you know what the half-life of 7-OH is?
Oh gosh, I don't.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
I have a background in pharmaceuticals. That's why.
Okay.
And I didn't have time to do all of the research on this. Okay. And then I guess my last question is for the person on the end. You cited regarding some of the deaths that happened that were tested. So those people were tested for kratom. The toxicology reports we currently have
Yeah,
do
and
test for
so
kratom.
what this is, the background is it is emerging trends, kratom in Tennessee, are briefed by the Department of Health, also concerned for the citizens of the state. And so it's sort of, I think it's a really good read that kind of end to end is a balanced look using the data in the state, what the risks are and what that is. And so what they did was analyzed all overdose deaths in the state that are unexplained. And they did this analysis of the toxicology results, and that's the summary that I was referencing. It's table 4 in that brief.
Okay, can you
And-
send that to my office, please?
Absolutely. And it was just issued since the bill was previously introduced months ago. This was issued last month. So I think it is data that should absolutely be considered. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will do.
All right, thank you. Members, we've got about 20 minutes left. We still have a lengthy list of people that wish to testify. Full disclosure, there will be some that may not get the opportunity to speak today. So I'm just going to let you know just because of time restraints. The next on our list is a Tiffany Swartrout, Alec Mayer, and Ashlyn Engel. And what is your name?
An Engel.
Ashlyn Engel. Okay. Alec Mayer or Tiffany Swartrout? No. Chris Blackburn. Cody Pride. Cody Pride. And who are you? Okay, I'll put you back on. This is, all right. If you will introduce yourself for the record, you'll have 3 minutes for your comments, and then we'll open it up for questions.
I'm Ashlyn Engel.
I'm Chris Blackburn.
I'm Tiffany Swartout. Okay. So I was diagnosed with a rare connective tissue disease when I was 17 years old. But I've basically been in chronic pain for my entire life. And so I've been passed around from hospitals and doctors to doctors. And all they've offered is like quick fixes or IV opiates. And that was before I was even 20. And I understand, excuse me, why people have concerns about kratom. And there are real risks when products are unregulated, mislabeled, or sold without oversight. But that is why distinction is important. Responsible establishments that prioritize testing, age limits, and transparency are not the same as products that are sold from gas stations or smoke shops with no clear sourcing or accountability. If we remove spaces, we don't eliminate demand, we just push people towards the least regulated options. So please choose regulation over prohibition, protection over punishment, and keep businesses like Passage Kava Lounge safe, legal, and supported. Thank you.
Hello. I just want to say to start, and thank you guys for letting us speak today. I want to let you know the half-life of 7-OH is 2.5 to 3 hours. And it is about less than 0.2% of the natural leaf as well. 11 years ago, I gave up drinking. My social life suffered as there's not a lot of places for me to go where there's not alcohol. I previously lived in Florida, and Florida has about 300 kava bars and kratom bars there. And I found a place I could like actually go and hang out with and meet new people. When you quit drinking, when you quit something and you're trying to find your way out there, there's not a lot of spaces right now. And instead of going to the bar where I've seen illicit behavior, fights on a daily basis, just a mile away from here at Broadway, I've never witnessed a fight at a kava bar. I've never witnessed people with domestic abuse at a kava bar. I never witnessed drunk driving at a kava bar. These are places that by banning this substance, you're going to be taking away from the community. This is a place to be taking away from me, my friends, people that have been there for me over the last 2 years, that have been there, that have helped me through a lot. I've seen people struggle. I've been there to help them. I've had people come help me move. I've helped people that cared about me. And there's not a lot of people that can say that today. And I feel like this is something I would love for you guys to really, really take into consideration, is that the friendships that I've made through being in these places, through this situation, has changed my life. And I wish more people could actually come and enjoy the same things. I wish more people would be able to stop drinking and come and be able to spend time with people who care about them. When I was at the bars, it wasn't friends. It was people that were there because they liked hanging out with us because they weren't as bad as you. Here, we lift each other up. We care about each other. So please take those things into consideration. There's a lot of positives that have come out of this. So for negatives, try to outweigh them. Try to look into it and see. Try to educate yourself. One thing I did want to say about Kratom is that if you overconsume it, you get sick. And on top of that, there's also, you guys have in the bill, the average Kratom consumer takes about 50 grams a month. The average dose for a person is 6 to 8 grams. The average beginner dose is 3 grams. If you divide that by a month, you're talking less than 2 grams a day, which actually kind of takes away from the idea that it's extremely addictive. If the average consumer is doing less than the beginner dose on a daily basis, how is that possible? So thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm a mother to 3 small kids, 6 and under, and a local business owner in Clarksville, Tennessee. In 2001, I broke my back working in a nursing home, and that is when my chronic pain started. In 2014, I started experiencing autoimmune disorder symptoms, which includes chronic widespread pain. And in 2017, I got in a severe wreck injuring both my knees. I need 2 full knee replacements, and I have tried every possible option that is over the counter, as well as various prescriptions to treat my pain. I was on opiates for 2.5 years through pain management. Seeing what addiction has done to family members of mine, I did not like being on narcotic pain medication and started searching for natural alternatives. In 2015, I found Kratom. I tried it, and it was the first thing that truly helped my pain that wasn't an opiate. It gave me hope that I would be able to live a normal life without being on pain management. Unfortunately, due to various injuries that I experienced and my autoimmune disorder, my pain will never go away. Sorry. I would be able to live a normal life without being on pain management. Unfortunately, due to various, I can only hope to manage it at a level that makes it possible to live a life with my children. My small business is an herbal store, which started out as primarily a Kratom shop. Through my business, I have met so many people who also choose to look for natural alternatives for pain and various elements, many which use Kratom. These customers are not drug addicts, but prison guards, police officers, city council members, lawyers, blue-collar workers who contribute to our society. I have seen firsthand they use Kratom responsibly. When you own a small business, you get to know someone's weekly or monthly order. My customers take it responsibly, the same that you would a medication. I have heard firsthand testimony from hundreds of people over the past 10 years since I found Kratom of it helping them change their life for the better. Kratom is not a hard drug, but a supplement that has given many chronic pain patients like me a quality of life. Banning this would not only be devastating for treating my pain, but it also would effectively close my business. I urge you to pass the Kratom Consumer Protection Act and not an all-out Kratom ban. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here with us. We're going to call up our next guest to keep in with time here. Dr. Nicholas Conley, Dr. Matthew Bruin, and Ms. Karen Davenport. If you will introduce yourself for the record, you'll have 3 minutes, and then we're probably going to finish with testimony and go right back to session and on the bill. So go ahead.
Fantastic. It's a pleasure to be here today, ladies and gentlemen of the committee and everyone that's joined behind me. My name is Dr. Matthew Bruin. I'm a PhD. I also am the CEO of Apex Recovery, a prominent drug, alcohol, and mental health rehabilitation facility that offers inpatient and outpatient services to all the fine men and women across Tennessee. And we have been doing so in this state for 5 years. I wanted to just make a couple of comments in my brief 3 minutes in response to some of the things I've been hearing here. First of all, there seems to be a lot of discussion around this idea that kratom powder and kratom leaf is somehow non-nefarious to 7-OH. I want to be very clear with everyone as an addiction specialist. Just because my light beer has 3 to 5% alcohol does not mean I can't consume 36 beers in a day. In fact, I had a gentleman in my outpatient treatment when I first came to Tennessee that lost his marriage, lost his children because he was consuming major cups and bags of kratom daily. I saw pictures of them. It was a very serious addiction. I'm in a unique position to be here today because I am a proud Tennessean. You guys have adopted me into your state. I've been here for 5 years. I hail from Colorado originally. I also came by California for 24 years. I have watched how those states changed with the adoption of legalized substances that once used to be banned. I want to remind everyone here that when THC first came out and was used in the 1970s, the content of THC, which is the primary psychoactive ingredient in cannabis, was between 3 and 5%. There are now substances out there that are at 80 and 85%. We are seeing a similar trajectory with kratom. I also would like to add that I am very familiar with kava bars. In California, they've been around for decades. I'd like to remind everyone here that the name of kava bars is not kratom bars. It is a kava bar. We're not here to discuss kava, which has a very low addictive rate. We're here to discuss kratom, which is increasingly creating deaths and necessary treatment in our industry across the state of Tennessee. I want to finally add that I have 3 teenage daughters, 2 of whom are in college, 1 who's a senior. I asked all 3 of them yesterday if they knew what kratom was. Each of them were able to describe the bottles that are in their local gas stations. Each of them knew individuals within their high school class who had taken kratom and who had problems. I'd like to ask every single individual up here and behind me, would you like your child to ingest kratom knowing what you know today? Thank you very much.
Good morning, Dr. Conley, board certified in family practice and addiction medicine. I also hold a designation of fellow for the American Society of Addiction Medicine and American Academy of Family Practice. In my current role, I am medical director at Apex Recovery. I've also founded multiple addiction clinics in Davidson County and Williamson County. Kratom, as we've heard some discussion here today, is a plant primarily grown in Southeast Asia, where the countries where it is endogenous, it is either highly regulated or banned outright. The metabolite that we keep talking about, mertagenine, is part of that plant, but no different than how cocaine is part of the coca plant, how opium is part of the poppy plant, etc. Just because something has a natural moniker to it does not mean it is indeed completely safe or completely benign. I won't go through and rehash what all we've heard here today, but I did want to give a little bit of personal testimony on what we are seeing at Apex Recovery. In 2024, we had 2 patients with a primary kratom use issue going on. In 2025, we were hitting a similar trajectory up until the final months, at which we were hitting about 1 to 3 per month. And currently, 1/6 of our Columbia location is kratom primary. This is on the rise and at an exorbitant rate. Kratom has very unique intracellular properties. Won't get into a big biochem lecture here, but the way it interacts with the opioid receptors and dopamine receptors give it both stimulant and opioid response. And I'm making like a combination of an Oxycontin and a cocaine at the same time. This also creates a very distinct withdrawal pattern that can be very difficult to manage. We have created a bespoke withdrawal management protocol to handle this and to help folks to be able to get past and get through this withdrawal that's happening here. Some of the medications we have to use for this are commonly prescribed in Parkinson's. That's the level of dopaminergic activity that this produces in the human body. In addition, the type, quote unquote, of people that we're seeing is different. And I do want to say fully, you can't pick a quote unquote addict out of a room of folks, more so than you can a diabetic or a hypertensive. This is a disease that hits folks all across. But with kratom specifically, we're seeing a very unique patient set in that we started using 2 or 3 months ago. We've not used anything previously. And so I would like to share with you some reports from folks who are literally in our recovery center right now that I talked to them about yesterday. One, I didn't know this was a problem. I thought this was natural. How do they sell this at gas stations when it's giving me all these problems? And why isn't this banned? Again and again, we're seeing folks who are gainfully employed. We're seeing folks with advanced degrees that are starting use of this, unaware of the consequences, and then unable to stop, not just because of desire to return to use, but due to the withdrawal profile that's happening there. In addition, at Apex, with our business development and admissions department, following up after folks have left our service, we have to date not had a single, sorry.
All right, thank you. Madam?
Dear honorable members, my name is Karen Davenport. I'm a wife and a nurse practitioner at Memorial Hospital. I'm also a grieving mother who once gave birth to 3 children. But on March 18th of 2024, my husband and I received the call that every parent's worst nightmare. My son Matthew, one of our twins, died suddenly in his sleep. The cause of death was a lethal interaction of doctor-prescribed medications and an unregulated substance sold over the counter, natural leaf kratom. Until that fateful day, I'd never heard of kratom, even though I worked in the medical field. Matthew was a sweet, kind, and thoughtful young man who struggled with anxiety for much of his life. And tragically, his life was cut short when kratom purchased his casually as breath mints at a nearby convenience store, played a fateful role in his death. Since March 18th, I've struggled through birthdays, holidays, and everyday life without Matthew. My family's been robbed of our joy, and we will never see him light up a room with his quiet humor again. And his twin sister, who once shared every milestone with him, will forever feel an absence, like a missing piece of her own soul. Matthew's toxicology report confirmed that it was pure leaf natural kratom. He believed the lie that natural was safe. Mayo Clinic as well as Cleveland Clinic have identified kratom has no medical use nor health benefit. In fact, Cleveland Clinic reported babies born to mothers who have taken kratom are now being treated with the same neonatal abstinence syndrome protocols as the mothers that have used fentanyl, OxyContin, and heroin. U.S. Customs agents detain kratom at the border without physical inspection, but most of this drug enters the country illegally. Camouflaged as potpourri or paint tint. Importing kratom into the United States can lead to significant penalties, including criminal charges and fines up to $250,000 and imprisonment, particularly for commercial qualities and mislabeled shipments. It's a great paradox that it escapes the checkpoints at every corner, but at every corner market, it's legitimate. And why is it being smuggled into the country? The military realizes that it causes impairment, and it's made illegal for military personnel to use. Please consider acting on this kratom ban so that our family members and constituents will not continue to be harmed by this unregulated, illegal, and potentially lethal drug. As you deliberate in this committee, remember there is no higher public service calling than to save lives. I humbly ask for your leadership and assistance. Our families and communities deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for your testimony. We are, and everyone that has been here to testify today and those that did not get the opportunity, we apologize, but we had time restraints. So thank you all. We're going to go back into session. Leader Lambert.
Move previous question.
Previous question is called. Is there objection? Seeing none. We're now voting to send House Bill 1649 on the full judiciary. So everyone voted. Does anyone wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes, 0 noes, and 1 present not voting.
The ayes prevail. House Bill 1649 moves on to full judiciary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
All remaining bills that are on the calendar that it was not considered today will be rolled to next week's calendar. We are adjourned.